Hi guys, we're finally back after a longer than expected break, but this episode totally made up for it because I loved it so much. Before I get into my review, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I review the latest Erkenci episode, say what I like and predict what might happen next. If you like these kinds of videos, subscribe to my channel and we will meet on a weekly basis. So first, the Sanem storyline. So the first time we see them is actually Layla singing in their bedroom or something. Emre listens to her, and because Emre complimented her singing voice, I have a feeling that maybe Layla will have a singing career in the future. Anyways, Emre brings Layla to work, and before they separate, she hugs him, and that was such a cute moment that she prayed for him because he was going to a job interview. Anyways, he goes there and the boss tells him that he's overqualified for this position, but Emre kind of insists that he really wants a job, but that man says no, maybe you will find a better job. So I felt kind of bad for Emre. I mean, I've never seen anyone getting rejected because he was overqualified. Anyways, then we see Emre selling his car, and the one he sells his car to and that one's boss are talking about a list of candidates to be a new salesperson in that car shop thing, and Emre actually listens to it, and then he sees a man coming with his child looking at cars, and then he goes up to them, shows them a car, they want to buy it, and the boss is quite intrigued and is watching Emre, and Emre says, well, I've heard that you're looking for a salesperson and I have a passion for cars, so I would really want that job. Then we see Emre telling Layla the good news that he got that job. After that, we see him actually waiting for a person who's training him or showing him how to do things and everything, but that person actually recognizes him because he's like, oh my god, I'm such a big fan, I went to your seminars. And it seemed to me that Emre was kind of embarrassed and it was kind of awkward for him. That's what I gathered from his expression. Anyways, the next day, I think Layla visits him at work, and Emre sees the boss and the person who trained him talking. He goes up to them and the boss says, well, this person just told me who you actually are. Do you really want this job? So because, oh my god, like, you're way overqualified for this job, why do you want to be a salesperson? But then Emre looks at Layla and then he says, I really need this job, I really want this job. So you really see him doing everything for Layla to make her happy, for her to be proud of him, kind of. So yeah, then we have Leia, Mevke Benihat and Mama David sitting in the garden, and we're telling the good news that he got the job. Mama David gets all angry. What? I thought you're a consultant, why did you change your work, blah blah blah. Like, she got really offended by that. Nihat, Mevke and Layla were kind of protecting him, which was really adorable. And then to change topics, Mevke got the baby shoes out and was taunting Mama David, and she was like, oh my god, are you having a baby? Why didn't you tell me that? Blah blah blah. Then she gets even more angry. Then they clarify everything and say that they're just planning to have a kid, but they're not having it now. And then Mama David is like, well, I'm not ready to be a grandma. Then we also have this little moment between Aziz Can and Emre, where Emre actually confesses his financial problems, and it was a cute little moment, them discussing their problems, being there for each other, supporting each other, saying that whenever you need me, I'm here for you. It was just really adorable. And then we also have this moment between Can and Emre, where Emre was in Can's house where he lives and told him that him and Layla are trying for a baby, and then Can got really excited, which was so adorable. I really liked it. So the Team Sanem storyline starts off with Bulut loading up the truck and asking where the creams are because the clients are waiting for it. Dennis explains to him that she was looking everywhere, Sanem is not here, there are no creams. Then Dagan comes and tells them that she actually threw the creams that they got from Jaran's shop. She actually threw them away because she was angry at Bulut, and he was so furious. He was so frustrated, so angry with Dagan. But she was like, well, I was angry at you, blah blah blah. So we already know that Sanem is on a boat, so nobody can get a hold of them. Dagan doesn't know what to do anymore. They're kind of having a meeting what they're going to do next because the client is waiting for the creams and Sanem is not here to make them. Then then Yeet appears. Muzo and JJ make fun of him and it was just so hilarious. I really like them hating on Yeet. So Dagan says, well, Sanem is not here because he was looking for her, but you can sit over there. So he actually listens to what they're saying. So they're having problems to come up with the name for this brand and with the slogan. That's Muzo's main problem. So Dagan comes up with the idea for them to actually make the creams themselves until Sanem comes back. So Dennis, Dagan and JJ are going to Sanem's workshop to get all the ingredients they need for the cream. Muzo stays behind and is thinking about the slogan. So he's mumbling about how hard it is to make a cream and didn't you listen to Sanem, and then he smells himself, which was hilarious, and then he says, well, Janelle destroyed us, blah blah blah. And in that moment Yeet was like beep 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 beep. He was alerted, like his antennas were like going crazy. Who's that person? I need to know who that person is. So he asks Muzo, and of course the person without filter tells him that. So Yeet goes to that person. Janelle isn't actually there, the woman that we saw when Dagan and Bulut got the creams back, but her husband Cemal, I think, is there. And then Yeet is like, well, I've heard about the special cream you have, and the man is like, yes, we're out of stock, but we will get it back soon, blah blah blah. And then Yeet asks about the incident with Bulut and Dagan, and then Cemal says, well, he will sue them, and Yeet encourages it, saying that they're not hygienic, they don't use the modern technology, it's old-fashioned, blah blah blah, you should totally sue them. And then Cemal is like, would you want some tea? And then they walk off, and as they're walking off you see Yeet smirking, and I'm like, then we see Team Sanem trying to make the creams. Please comes with Cemal and he's like, would you look at that? That's my wife's cream. I told you that. They're producing fakes and they want to sell it, blah blah blah. Everyone is like, no, it's not true. These are our creams. So there's this back and forth. I was kind of surprised because JJ was really calm in the beginning and I was like, what is happening with JJ? But then later on, when they're all getting to the cars, JJ loses it and is running around with the Fikri Harika poster thing. It was amazing. I laughed so much watching JJ and Muzo together, but especially JJ this episode. It was just 10 out of 10. Anyways, before Dagan gets pushed into the car, a Bulut comes and is like, what is happening here? And then Dagan explains it. Bulut walks off really angry and I'm like, where are you going? Like, what do you want to do now? Shouldn't you go with them, help them in some way? And Dagan was really angry at him that he was walking off. So we see Dennis, Dagan, Muzo and JJ in prison. Muzo started singing. Dagan is walking up and down trying to come up with a solution. And then you see a pair of shoes, like a man in a suit. And I'm like, is that Metin? But I'm not so sure. Like, it's not that high quality suit. So I'm like, who is that? And then the door opens and who comes in that suit? It's Bulut. I was like, no, what is happening? Bulut. And then he's like, this is the evidence that the creams belong to Sanem, here are the clients, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh my god, Bulut. With that appearance and the evidence and everything, Cemal shut his mouth and was pooping his pants, in my opinion. Walks out and is like, I will get back at you, blah blah blah, I won't let this rest, kind of, you know. And Bulut is like, well, I won't let this rest either. And I'm like, yes, Bulut. Oh, what I forgot to say is that before all of that, Mama David was kind of bored, so she tried calling John, but she couldn't reach him because he threw his phone in the sea. Then she called Yeet, and we saw Yeet in the park being like all creepy, really focused. Mama David calls him, and then he's like, he has a plan. He needs to separate John and Sanem because Sanem won't get close to him because John is still here, blah blah blah, and that he'll make sure of it, that they will separate. And even Mama David was like, you're exaggerating, come, let's just relax, meet up and just talk it through. And he's like, no, I have to go through with this plan, blah blah blah, and hung up. In that moment you could really see that Mama David was kind of scared of Yeet, and I'm like, well done, you've created a monster. Anyways, she's even more bored. Then she starts cleaning, and the way she cleaned, I was like, really. Like, she sprayed those plates on the wall. She just sprayed them randomly, and then the way she was cleaning them, instead of like really cleaning them, you know, she just wafted at it. She was like, I was like, what are you doing? Seriously. Anyways, she gets so bored that she visits Nihat and Mevkebe. Nihat and Mevkebe are really happy to see her. And then Mevkebe comes up with the idea to go and visit Sanem. Mama David follows her. They're looking for everyone, but nobody is there. So Mevkebe has the idea to ask Miriban where everyone is. She was like, you know what? Stay here. I will go ask quickly. And Mama David was like, no, like we can be civil, blah, blah, blah. And then they go see the police car in front of Miriban's house, because the police says because stolen creams are being stored on her property and that's why she needs to be a witness, blah blah blah. I hope I got that right. When she got there, she got really angry, and it was after Bulut actually solved the problem, and the chief was like, well, it was a misunderstanding, we apologize, blah blah blah. And she's like, I'm not done with you. And he says, well, your lawyer came. And Aziz and Miriban were like, a lawyer? What? And then Bulut appears and explains everything to them. Oh, the most important part I forgot. So when Miriban and Aziz were going to the police car, Mevkebe and Mama David were actually there. Mama David was taking pictures of Miriban being escorted, and she was having the time of her life, seeing her rival driving away with the police car. It was just the best day for her, I think. Anyways, Bulut releases everyone who was arrested, and then he says, she's not my client, so they ran. And then there is this back and forth that reminded me of her not accepting his help in episode 40 when she got stuck in the mud. In the end, she gets out and they're all outside. We see that Gigi can't talk anymore. He's like only making sounds. Deren was kind of being sarcastic with Bulut, and then Dennis actually tells her about Bulut, that he studied law and business. He was very successful and he was very ambitious, blah blah blah, apparently abroad, because he wasn't really happy with the life he was living. So he sold everything and came back to Turkey and devoted his life to nature. And in that moment it kind of clicked, and she felt kind of sorry that she made fun of him, or maybe that she underestimated his abilities, and she couldn't really believe that he was so driven and ambitious. So I'm really interested to see how her attitude towards Bulut will change. Gigi is still not talking. Dennis and Muzo are trying to make him talk, but they can't do anything. Deren comes and is threatening Gigi that she will fire him, and that's what makes him talk again, and it was so hilarious. And I think that's the end of Team Canem storyline without Canem. And now to the main storyline, Canem. So we have Can kidnapping Sanem. Sanem is desperately trying to get back to turn the boat around, but Can is having none of it. He's having the time of his life. He's just enjoying Sanem being helpless and trying everything to move the boat, kind of just getting off the boat. And then she keeps asking him, where are we going? And then he says, wherever the wind may take us. And then she wants to jump off the boat, and then he's like, well, you can't run off anywhere, let's just enjoy nature. Dennis calls her. That's the moment where Bulut is looking for cream, so quite at the beginning. She says, well, he kidnapped me and I don't know where we are. And Can is like, I will tell her where we are. And he takes her phone and throws it in the water. She gets all, oh my god, what did you do? Sees his phone. He quickly, his ninja reflexes, take his phone, throws it in the water. And then she's like, oh my god, why did you do that? Sees the walkie-talkie and starts talking to the walkie-talkie, and nobody's actually responding, and he knows that because you would hear it. But she's like having a full-on conversation, like they're seeing us, and yes, I'm the woman with the long hair, they're seeing you, blah blah blah. Then she sees a boat and she's waving at them, but her way of waving was not a wave of help, kind of. It was more like a hello wave, and that's exactly what Can said. So she kind of gave up after some time. Oh, and also when Sanem was threatening Can that she will save herself and she will jump off this boat, he was just like, it was so hilarious. Like, Oh my god. Then Can stops the boat and says he just wants to talk with her, and she's like, well, what do you want to talk? And he's like, whatever comes to your mind. And then she's talking about his beard, I think, and his hair, and then she likes the clip. And then he's like, wait a second, comes back with a clip, gives it to her as a gift. It has a special meaning. And then he's like, do you want it? And she's like, yes. She doesn't know how to clip it in, so he does it for her, and it was quite adorable. And then he asks her what she actually wanted to tell him when she came to the boat. And then she is thinking and is like, well, you shouldn't go because your father would be devastated, and there's also the agency. And then she starts with I am very, but then stops and is like, well, you don't care about anyone, you're leaving anyways. And then he encourages her to finish that sentence, I am very. And then she's thinking and says, I'm very hungry. And you can really see him breaking inside, being like, why can't you tell the truth? So while Can is looking for food, Sanem sees the book. She's very happy that he has the book there. He tells her that they don't have food, so they should fish. They catch some fish, they're eating it, and it reminded me of when they were in Ava at that restaurant, episode 3. It also reminded me of when they had this photo shoot on the boat. So yeah. That's all. Can asks her if she traveled the world because her book got translated in so many languages, and she says nowhere actually. I got invited but I didn't go because you promised me to show me the world. That shocked him kind of, and then she got really emotional and it all shut down. Then they're drinking tea for the first time in a year, and then Sanem says that she wants to apologize to him because of this trip, like this kidnapping thing, it made her understand his love for freedom, and that she did fall in love with a person who loves freedom, who takes photographs, who's kind of lonely, and she tried to change him, and that's what she's apologizing for, because she was scared that he would leave her, and now she understands that he had to do it because it's the way he is. And then Can starts talking and says that he had trouble all his life belonging to someone, keeping someone close to him, and his coping mechanism was just to move, to run away, and that's all he knew. And he only trusted Sanem, and he fell in love with her being so naive, so pure, so trusting. And he apologizes for trying to make her like him, like doubting people, not trusting people. And then Sanem says, we're so different, maybe that's why it didn't work out. And you can really see him being sad and saying, well, maybe that's it. And then Can starts talking about the notebook, that the only thing he wants from her is the notebook or something like that. And Sanem chimes in and is like, I know that you didn't burn my notebook. And he's like, how do you know that? And then she explains to him that in the moment he ran or entered the burning hut, she understood that he didn't burn her notebook. Then we see Sanem docking, him meeting with the person he wants to sell the boat to. And in that moment it clicks for Sanem that he didn't actually kidnap her, he just wanted to sell his boat. And the one who's buying it is asking again, are you sure? And he says yes. And then the man gives him the check. Can mentions Metin for the first time. Even Sanem was quite surprised to hear Metin's name, and he says, well, he was the first on my list to make up blah blah blah. Anyway, Sanem is asking him, why are you still here? And then he's looking at her and is like, of course, because of my father. And he just used the same thing that she used on the boat, why she wanted to stop him from going away. And she's really happy. I think she understood the message and the meaning behind it, that he didn't really mean his father. Sanem comes back. Bulut and Eren explain the situation with the creams, with the police and everything. Can gets quite angry and Sanem is quite devastated that she can't make creams anymore, and Can follows her to her workshop. She's really sad to see everything scattered around, and Can is like, no one can harm you, I won't let this happen. And then he asks her if she trusts him, and she says yes. And then he's like, well, you make your creams, leave the rest to me. And then he walks off and calls Metin. Then we actually see Yiğit calling Bulut, and I'm like, please Bulut, don't tell him everything. And what does Bulut would do. He tells him everything that happened and that he's a lawyer and that he got everyone out and that he will solve the problem. And of course Yeet got really angry that his plan didn't work out. Then we see Cemal and Yeet talking how to proceed. In that moment I really saw Mama David 2.0. You could really see him becoming a worse version of Mama David, like injecting evilness into the people around him, and now his new victim is Cemal. So I'm really interested to see how it will work out, and I think that we will see Cemal and Yeet working together for a longer period of time. Then we see Can reading Sanem's book, and the chapter was about a bonding valley, which is actually the name of this episode. So after they showed 44th episode, and then we see Sanem folding a piece of paper, kind of doing origami, and then when Can goes up to his door, he sees a little package, and then there's a note that says something along the lines of, "You can't replace your boat, but maybe it helps." And it was an origami boat made by Sanem, and he understood the message, he really liked it, and it reminded me of the butterfly when they were shooting this 80s styled ad in her neighborhood. Then the next day we have Miriban trying to get an explanation of everything that happened from Muzo, Deniz, Deren, JJ and Bulut, and that moment kind of reminded me of Mevkbe actually trying to get information from Sanem, Ayhan and Osman in their garden, and it was episode 1 or 2, I don't remember correctly, but she was also walking up and down questioning them. After some time Miriban relaxed, she's trusting them again. Canem comes because Muzo actually FaceTimed Sanem, told her about what was happening. So Canem comes, and in that moment Miriban was like, let's make a pact, an oath, whatever you want to call it, and they put their hands together. Miriban was like, to nature, to friendship, and then she looked at Canem and is like, to love. And in that moment you also saw Bulut and Deren looking at each other, and Deniz looking at Muzo, but Muzo looking somewhere else, and they made this pact. Then we have Bulut and Deren explaining to Miriban and Aziz the situation, that they need to make creams for the clients that are waiting, or samples, I don't know. And Canem was also there, but they were kind of in their own bubble, and they were winking at each other, and it was just amazing. And that reminded me of when they had a meeting or a project going on in Can's house, and he had his sunglasses on because he had that eye infection. They weren't winking at each other, but they were kind of blowing kisses at each other. So that kind of reminded me of that moment. Then we see Mama David looking at the pictures she took of Miriban, and she starts laughing like a crazy person, comes up with an idea. So she releases the pictures, sells it to an online news, whatever. Miriban sees the pictures, she's all angry. She actually sends a package to Mama David, a smiling watermelon with a message that Miriban's time has come, watch out, or something like that, and she's really shocked. Then we also see Cemal getting a letter, getting all angry. So he sends 3 guys to Sanem's place. Before they arrive we see Can working out, and I'm like, like, what an eye candy. Anyways, those 3 men come, want to send a message from Cemal, and the moment someone threatens Sanem, Can comes, and he's very calm, and even Sanem is like, well, aren't you going to hit them? And he's like, well, do you want me to hit them? That's the old Can. And she's like, well, I want a balance of them. And he's like, okay. And then he fights all 3 of them, tells Deren to get some documents, and then he tells them, well, give this message to Cemal, the creams belong to Sanem, these are the documents, blah blah blah. So that's the thing that he talked with Metin about when he walked out of Sanem's workshop, and that's also the document that Cemal got. Then we see Can getting out of the pool, and I'm like, I loved this episode so much, but seeing shirtless Can was just like the cherry on top for me. I was like, God. And especially when he got out of the pool, I was like, perfection, like, so handsome. God. Seriously, this man is setting the bar very, very high for the male species. Anyways, he gets a call from the detective. The detective found out who the woman is. Can calls Mama David, so he will confront Mama David, and I'm like, it's about to go down. So he goes there, wants to know why Mama David is meeting up with Yi. She says, well, he was so alone, he has no friends, all his friends are abroad, and Pauline entrusted him to me, and blah blah blah, and who is following me? And then she gets all angry and stuff like that, and I'm like, really? And Jan is like, just know that I don't like it that you're meeting up with him. And as soon as Jan leaves, she's like running to her phone, and I'm like, go and announce it to your third son. And that's what she did. She actually messaged Yiğit saying that Jan knows about them meeting up. Then we have Deren and Bulut telling Sanem and Muzo and JJ that the clients from abroad are amazed by Sanem's creams and they want more creams, blah blah blah, but they need money, they don't have all the money to produce it, blah blah blah, like their business problems. And Jan says, well, here, take the check. Sanem doesn't want to take the check. Everyone is like, no, take it, that's the money we need. And she's like, no, I won't take it. And you can really see that Jan was really disappointed and sad that she wouldn't let him help her. So he wants to go, but then she comes up with the idea that he should be a partner, and he accepts. So because of that, they have a party with Layem, Sanem, Deren, Bulut, JJ, Muzo, Deniz, Aziz and Miriban. It's actually the first time where Layla and Jan were talking with each other, and she says that it's the first time in a year that she sees Sanem so happy, and she's asking him if he's going to leave, and she says no. And then she says, promise me. I promise. And then she says, whatever happens, you won't leave, okay? And he says, never, don't worry, I won't upset Sanem again. And then they're all dancing except for Jan and Sanem. Sanem actually wants to dance but is sitting, and Jan is just watching her. It was just so nice to see everyone having a great time. After the party, everyone leaves, and Dagan is actually walking up to Jan and is like, well, I sprained my foot, can you help me somehow, because if I ask Bulut, he will pick me up. And that's actually what Bulut did, and he brings her to Sanem's house. Jan and Sanem are saying goodbye, and Jan takes her hand like as a good night, goodbye kind of thing. And then I can't do it with my hands, but he kind of doesn't shake her hand like that. He turns it kind of almost like he wants to kiss her hand, but he didn't. And it was a cute moment, but like, what did he want to do? But she understood what he wanted to do, kind of. Anyways, we see Sanem laying in the hammock. Jan is coming, maybe wanting to talk to her, but sees her laying there, takes a blanket, walks up to her, actually sees the engagement ring he made for her. He's looking at it, and that instrumental music is killing me. Like, I love it. Whenever I hear it, I know that the Sanem scene will be 10 out of 10, which was the case. He was looking at her, she woke up, they were looking at each other, like his face, his eyes, his looks, like, oh my god. And that's the end. So as of me filming it now, we don't have a trailer. I need to get back in the group to see when the trailers do come out. Anyways, we did get a preview after a long period of time. Like the last couple of episodes, we didn't get a preview right after the episode. So we see Sanem sneaking around in Jan's house. He's actually showering, and she's looking for her bandana. She finds it in the end, but on her way there, it kind of reminded me of episode 2 when he was taking a shower. She was trying to get out of his bedroom, you know what I mean? And I mean, Jan getting out of the shower, like, I'm so excited for next episode. Anyways, she gets the bandana. I don't know how she got there. I don't know why she's taking the bandana. Like, it's hard. It's hard because they didn't talk. I can't really understand why she would take it from him, even though she knows that it means a lot to him. Anyways, one thing that I want to mention is a scene that I've missed this episode, but they promoted it with that scene. So Jan and Sanem were on the dock. He was looking at the clip she had from him, and they were hugging. I missed it, but honestly, it wouldn't have helped the storyline, in my opinion. It would have been nice to see, for me, it's just a bonus clip. I'm really excited to see what will happen next. Maybe Bulut will become the company's lawyer, or maybe Bulut and Metin will start working together. I'm sure this cream fight will continue. I hope that Mama Divit will finally understand what monsters she created. Anyways, I really like this episode. The ratings aren't that good. I think people need to get reused to the new day. So yeah, I hope that the ratings will get better as time goes on. Yeah, that's all I can say. I hope you like this review. If you're still watching, thank you very much. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment what your thoughts are on episode 44. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to see more Erkenci Kush reviews. Click the bell to be notified whenever I post something, and I will see you next time. Bye!